Okay, so let's get into tactics. What does your marketing and distribution strategy look like?
Well, we're super, I would say, low budget, low effort in marketing. So our target consumers are mostly people who already know what granola is, and we started that way because, we don't have the budget and everything to invest in education, raising awareness, TV, radio, all of that. So what we do is social media, because a lot of our target customers are on social media, along with a fair number of marketing kind of events, markets, bazaars, places where we can engage with customers face to face, have them try our products, and tell them our story directly. Because otherwise, our customers are businesses, right? So supermarkets or hotels. So there are not that many options or opportunities for us to directly engage our consumers. So we take advantage of that when we have the chance.
Okay, so in Zare Journal or at Entrepreneurs Today, we like to encourage people to understand the specific or the finer details of an entrepreneur's journey. So in this regard, I want you to tell me what's been your most critical challenge and opportunities in terms of marketing, in terms of sales, especially from a retail and manufacturing angle. So I want people to understand what are some of the common challenges they face when they start their own business, especially in manufacturing, in producing, and also in retailing. I want to understand that. What's been the most critical challenge?
I think to start, the way we started was by doing a lot of events. I think a challenge is having a new product, having people be familiar with your brand. So we took advantage of a lot of kind of events early on so that people would become familiar with our brand. Because if we went straight to retail, our products would sit there and no one would take them, right? I mean, a few people would out of curiosity, but it's an expensive thing to try without knowing what it's all about. So I think a challenge is finding opportunities to get your customers or potential customers to try your products. So I would recommend taking advantage of opportunities, creating them, doing sampling at supermarkets or anywhere that you get the chance. So I think that's a challenge and an opportunity. I think if you have a strong brand, you have the opportunity to stand out quite easily here. So strong brand and attractive packaging. So sitting on the supermarket shelves, our products do stand out. So if you are able to invest in that and create something that stands out, then that is an opportunity, right? As
a friend and as an observer, if you were to come to me and you ask me, Sami, look at me, I want to start my own business, and what do you think I should do? You know what I would say? I would probably say, I think you are born to do PR, communications, or some sort of marketing or branding, and anything that has to do with communications, blogging, content marketing, digital marketing. I would definitely tell you that, but I find out you're doing anything, something that's not entirely related with the communications industry. And I'm a bit surprised, but now I understand the reason, and it's extremely inspiring for you to get into something that you have no idea about, just a little bit of inclination, and to make an amazing brand such as TruLuv out of it. I want to ask you a question. Do you want to start multiple businesses, including communications or PR? Or is it just you want to make sure TruLuv Granola grows at scale? Or what's the future for TruLuv? What is it that you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years? I know this question is a cliche, but I want to understand your vision. Is it clear or is it not clear yet? I want our viewers to understand this as well.
I think it's really clear to me that for the next few years, my life and energy are going to be dedicated to TruLuv. And that's because, not to babysit the company or anything, but because we have a lot of ambitions in terms of growing, exporting around the world, also creating a factory to do volume and also create a more affordable, healthy snack for Ethiopians. So with those ambitions, I will be really involved and really engaged. I'm not someone who's good at multitasking. I wish I could be, so I'm not going to be able to do, at least for the most part, other things. But after it gets to a point where things are smooth sailing and I think I've accomplished what, you know, most of my vision. I think vision is pretty ambitious, but once we've gotten most of the way there, I would be happy to do other businesses that I believe I have something to offer in. So it could be communications, it could be PR, but like you said, with any business, I think you can lean into your strengths. So I do, you know, the branding, opportunities like this, where I get to speak and tell the story of TruLuv, or blogging. So finding ways to use those strengths within different contexts.
Excellent. So we always raise this topic as well. It's one thing to start a business and it's another thing to sustain a business. And it takes qualities of a leader to sustain a business. I want to understand, what kind of a leader are you?
I think I live most comfortably and impactfully in the transformational leadership space. So that means a lot of coaching and investment in people to help them realize their potential and realize their potential is much more than they thought it was, to get where they want to go. And I think this comes from the fact that I was really coached in this way. I had a mentor, a line manager, who really helped me believe in myself more than I ever thought. So, you know, we had a lot of conversations and it was just like, really? Me? You see that in me? How? So it's so rewarding, but also so impactful to see that in other people. I think I have a couple examples within my business. One is my deputy manager, who started as an intern, and she is now, you know, just amazing at what she does through a lot of coaching and a lot of investment, but also she had the potential. It's just about training and coaching to get there. We also have a cleaner that started with us as soon as we moved into the space, the smaller space, and now she's production manager. And she's able to go on QuickBooks, and she does invoices on QuickBooks for customers. She uses Google Sheets to do, you know, our daily reporting. And no one could have guessed when we hired her that that was her potential. But when you spend time with someone, you help uncover a lot of things that, you know, neither of you knew were going to be there. And it's just about being open to what their potential might bring.
Our next question is, a lot of people like the TruLuv branding, and I want to understand your branding process. A lot of people, when they think of starting their own business, especially something that involves packaging or packaged products, the first thing that comes in their mind is, how am I going to do the branding? What kind of name should I come up with? What's your innovation process? I want to understand who came up with the branding. Did you outsource it to a creative agency, or did you just do every process yourself?
For the brand, well, I guess maybe I'll start with the name. The name came up through basically brainstorming on my own, just sitting at a cafe with lots of caffeine, lots of ideas, old-fashioned pen and paper brainstorming. And, you know, I tried to Google, you know, adjectives for green and healthy and authentic, and, you know, the words TruLuv came up, spelled the way they should be spelled. It was a bit too corny for me, or just a bit much. I don't know how I came up with TruLuv, but it worked out. And that came from just really knowing what I wanted the products to be about, which is authenticity, natural ingredients, but also something that people connect with and enjoy. And then there's also the layer of my co-founder being someone I love.
Nice.
So that's how we came up with the name. From there, you know, I was still working full time. I didn't want to spend too much money on branding. I just was toying with it, right? So I went online and went to one of those crowdsourcing websites, had, you know, put in a simple brief and got probably 100 logos sent. From there, I narrowed it down to 5 that I liked. And then on Viber, via email, in person, I sent it to a bunch of people. and let them vote. I actually set up, I think, a very simple voting website.
Nice.
And the website, the logo that they chose was actually not my favorite. And I struggled with, okay, do I listen to the people or just do what I want because this is my business? But I listened to them because I figured there's something there. And over time, it's become, you know, very recognizable. It was clearly the right choice. And it's something that we're really proud of. So along with the packaging, I mean, most of the things that we've developed, it's with continuous feedback from people who are like our target customers or are our target customers, whether that's the flavor or the packaging. So I had sample packaging, and when I was sampling, I didn't actually intend to use that packaging because it was imported, and it would make the product more expensive. But as we were sampling, everyone was like, I love this packaging.
Yeah.
Like, I love the Ziploc and the heat seal, and I love that it's brown and it matches with your branding. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to import this stuff. And I was really disappointed about that because I thought I could, you know, figure out something else locally. But it was important for me to listen to my customers. And I mean, I don't know if all of these people realized they were part of this co-creation process, but they were, and that's how we've built our brand.
Excellent. All right, so my other question is, what were some of the key milestones in the history of TruLuv Granola from the beginning for the past 2 years? It could be including funding or production facility switch, or what do you consider to be success milestones in the life of TruLuv Granola?
Okay, getting a business license was one of them. Very small one, but an initial one. From there, I think getting our first customer was a huge one. Getting our first big international hotel customer. Getting into supermarkets, getting into chain supermarkets. So those are some of those kind of sales milestones. Moving from our apartment to a real space is another. Upgrading to another bigger space. Having an office with a door, personally, a good milestone. And I mean, I'm sure there are just so many more, you know, hiring-wise, we now have 8 employees. We started with 2, and yeah, I think also last month we had our first kind of batch of granola that was exported to Djibouti.
Nice.
So that is huge. It's really hard to imagine, like, what is it doing over there?
Exactly.
Like, I can't see it. I'm not arranging it on the shelves. But that was huge, and it's our first export, and you know, a sign of things to come. So I think there's so much more that we want to accomplish in terms of sales, in terms of product types. You know, we came up with a new product this year, loose granola, and that product in particular is the definition of something I'm not happy with, but moving fast with it, getting out there, collecting feedback, and refining it. So we started selling it in a few places, got some customer feedback. Actually, just even this week, we're refining the recipe a little. So there's a fine balance between clusters of granola and sweetness. And it's like, we gotta get right there in the middle so that it's not too sweet, but it's also not a powder. So, you know, continually improving that. But you know, releasing a new product into market was something that I'm happy about, even if it's not exactly where I want it to be yet.
I see. So this project, Entrepreneurs Today, started with the objective of creating opportunities for aspiring entrepreneurs to meet people who've traveled the journey, and you're one of them. And can we maybe break it down for them in terms of, you know, 2 years ago, there was no such thing as TruLuv Granola. Now it's a physically manifested thing. There is TruLuv Granola. Sometimes it's really hard to believe, even for the person who created it yourself. It's just right there, and I can imagine what you feel when you walk into supermarket aisles and your product is displayed there. And 3 to 5 years from now on, when you're exporting and when you're producing in mass, I can imagine how it makes you feel, and it's financially rewarding. and it's rewarding in every aspect of your business. There are so many aspiring entrepreneurs with great products, with great ideas, but they don't understand how to start. And even when they start, there's the doubt which always exists. I want to understand your mindset. There's been times where it must have been extremely difficult. There's been times where you probably decided, okay, this is stupid, I'm not doing this. I can imagine there's been countless times where you probably said, is this the right thing to do in Ethiopia? I'm talking about TruLuv, I'm talking about granola. And you said it in your introduction before, you know, not a lot of consumers in this country understand even the product, the category, not just, you know, the snack aspect of it. So I want you to tell us what got you through that. What was your mindset when you were planning to quit or to stop? What took you through it?
I think at any time there's a very delicate balance between curiosity, playfulness, craziness, those kinds of things that keep you inspired and keep you innovating and keep you creating, balanced with focus and discipline to the vision that you have for yourself. So, you know, when it comes to new products, when it comes to overcoming challenges, having the creativity to approach it in different ways, but also not getting caught up in, what if I do this idea and this idea and this idea? Having the discipline to say, no, my vision for 5 years is to be here, and we've got to stick to a schedule. We've got to hit these milestones in order to get there. And it's a tough balance, and it's not always, you know, it's not always balanced, right? So sometimes, you know, and it's also, I mean, maybe partially also dependent on my mood in my place. So if I travel somewhere and I see their healthy snacks and get inspired by an ingredient or packaging, and I kind of lean into that for a little while, or then sometimes it's the beginning of the year and you're like, I've got to create my annual plan and budget, and it's very disciplined and very focused. So I think it's a combination of those two things.
Yeah, I want to understand your annual targeting. I want to understand your quarterly targeting. In all of my businesses, basically what we do at the beginning of the year, our fiscal year starts in July. So what we basically do is we have our financial targets. It's smart, but it's a bit stretched. And then we have our client acquisition strategy and targets. And then we have budget cut and production increase targets. So we have different KPIs in order to give us a decent return on our investment, not just a decent return on our investment, but also exceeding expectation in terms of our targets. And we measure them weekly, we measure them monthly, we measure them quarterly, and we measure them every half year. And at the end of the year, it could be extremely rewarding or it could be a little disappointing, but we keep going anyway. I want to understand the kind of targets you follow. Is it short-term, long-term, a combination of all?
Well, I think we have a strategic vision, which is kind of a 5-year target. Actually, just now we've revised that because I think it wasn't ambitious enough. But from there, you kind of create an annual plan. And so last year was the first year we did have a real annual plan, and broke that down into monthly plans. It was a lot of learning because, you know, kind of understanding, were these the right targets? What does it mean that we didn't hit these targets? You know, as a new business, some of the targets are just like pulled out of thin air. And it's like, that didn't make sense. Why were we even trying to achieve that? So I think more important than just setting targets is then coming back at the end of the year and saying, okay, how did we do on these targets? What worked and why didn't they work? So revisiting that. This year we're going through, so we are operating January through December. So we are just going through the annual planning now, a little late, but better late than never. And I think we're creating a lot less comprehensive objectives for ourselves, but a lot more in line with what we really are trying to achieve. So that if we achieve those, you know, 5 things and nothing else, we have killed it this year. So we're kind of following the OKR system, so objectives and key results, doing that for the year, then kind of funneling that down to functions, breaking that down into quarterly OKRs, breaking that down into monthly, into weekly. So we're still in that process, but I mean, I think it's really, really important really, really important. And I mean, I think the fun part about the end of the year is really saying, what did we achieve? And some things if you don't reflect, you forget you achieved them. You know, if you have a sales target and you didn't reach it for the year, but you're like, actually, I still tripled sales, that's awesome. So taking that time to reflect and get in touch with what you really want to accomplish is super important.
This is absolutely inspiring. I mean, if you have specific targets, whether they're stretched, ambitious, or maybe realistic targets, without them, you won't be able to accomplish much as a business leader. And that's one of the things, I like the OKR principles. Some of the things that we've actually incorporated in our planning strategy a little bit, except ours is extremely aggressive in terms of stretching our targets. And it's because it's the second fiscal year that we're moving into. A lot of people get discouraged in the first year of business. You know, they have their license, they started the business, it's official, they're live. But when they don't see a quick return in their investment, or, you know, people are extremely short-sighted. So what I want aspiring entrepreneurs watching this right now to understand is the power of patience, in my experience. What is yours? What would you tell them right now in your own words? How would you inspire these aspiring entrepreneurs to stay consistent, to stay true to their dreams once they start something, that they need to finish this?
I think, so I really resonated when you said that you get discouraged. So year one was actually beautiful for us. It was like selling, everyone's buying, the granola is moving. I don't know who's buying it, but it's moving. Year two is where we had more kind of hard lessons in terms of hiring, in terms of the seasonality of our products, in terms of, okay, now we have 1 million customers. How do we really, not literally 1 million, we have a lot of customers. How do we manage all these customers? You know, things that a growing business faces. Whereas in the first year, it's like just so exciting, new, you're excited by all the success. So I think I did have a time this year when I was really kind of discouraged. I was like, this is not really going where I want it to go. You know, we're not hitting these targets, and then it's like, do I keep striving for these targets, or do I just not look at them for the rest of the year because this is like painful? But I think for that, one, it's okay to feel that way. You don't always have to be like the most gung-ho person. It's okay, you go through phases. People go through phases. There's seasons, there's challenges. And then two, I think at those moments you've got to do some soul searching in terms of your personal vision, your personal purpose. I think you and I have had a lot of those conversations before. And if you are really getting into touch with your purpose just in life, and your business aligns with that, you can get back on track much, much more quickly. And then just accepting that things may not look the way you thought they would. Maybe you're not going to hit your targets, but that doesn't mean you stop trying. Maybe you adjust your targets and take lessons. So, you know, I would say just don't worry about being discouraged, but you know, that's part of the resilience, right? Is making the comeback.
Yeah. Blayne, thank you so much for coming and sharing your inspiring journey as an entrepreneur. I'm sure TruLuv and the TruLuv brand is gonna go wild in this country and beyond. And I am definitely sure this is not the last time we're having this conversation on Entrepreneurs Today on Zare Journal. You're gonna come back and you're gonna share your journey. We're gonna have another platform where we gather entrepreneurs to give us, you know, a piece of their mind on how aspiring entrepreneurs can become or realize what they intend to be. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate this, Blayne.
Thank you for having me, Sammy.